everyone. How are you guys doing? I'm super duper excited to be here today. So, just to get started, I want to make sure that we are live and everybody's tuned in. Please say something in the comments section. Please say something in the comment section so that I know we are live and that we can get started. Drop a hi. Let me know that you're here so that we can get started. Anybody home? Okay, so I have seen a few comments. I've seen a few people in the comment section. So we're gonna get this ball rolling, right? So as a way of introduction, my name is Tafadzwa Bete-Sasa. I am a Zimbabwean from Zambia. I like to introduce myself like that. I am originally a Zimbabwean, but at the moment I am living in Zambia, which has become my second home. I work in learning and development. My background goes back to human resource management, and I've been working in human resource management for about five years, well, 7 years if you include the time that I was interning during college. But I've been working in HR, and throughout that time, the part that really caught my heart was the learning and development, which is your training, your staff development and all that stuff. And that is what I fell in love with, and that is what I am now focusing on, and that's what I'm really working on at the moment. So pretty much that is my work, that is what I do, and I am super excited to be here. So I want to send a big shout out to the guys at She Leads Africa for this amazing opportunity for me to share with you guys and to get to share and empower you Motherland Moguls on how you can create schedules to improve your productivity. Big shout out to the guys at She Leads Africa. If you check in the comment section, you will be able to see a link on how you can join She Leads. They share amazing content in terms of young and established women who are doing amazing work in Africa, and they're always sharing cool stuff on how you can become more productive and how you can get things done. So at the moment, I am working for myself. I established an organization called the GoalGetter, and our flagship product is the GoalGetter Planner, which is the red one that you see over there. And what the GoalGetter Planner is essentially is that it's a customized daily organizer, which just helps you as a user or as an individual to move from setting annual resolutions at the start of the year. You know how when we start the year, we're all like, oh, this year I want to be healthier. This year I want to be more careful with my money. This year I want to draw closer to God. And I just felt like that wasn't really working for me and for some of the people in my circles. And so the idea behind the GoalGetter Planner was to create something that can help you translate your resolutions into goals, definite goals, smart goals that you can constantly refer to in the course of the year and see how that is working out. So the GoalGetter Planner helps you to move from resolutions, from goals, from wishes, and from dream into setting smart goals that you can actually track throughout the course of the year. So I created the GoalGetter Planner. I launched it last year. I launched it last year in November, and to date we have sold about 470 copies of the planner. Their feedback has been amazing, and part of the feedback from the planner is what led me to create this particular webinar, because one of the winning ways that I share in the planner is people need to, if you want to be productive, you need to create schedules and routines to ensure that you're productive. So people say, okay, we know that we need to create schedules and routines, but how do we actually do it? Which is how we are here today. And I'm now sharing with you, how do you actually create the routines and how to create schedules that are going to work for you in your life. I'm also involved in community service. through different initiatives, but most outstanding being the Junior Chamber International, JCI, where I'm the current National Training Director for JCI Zambia. I'm also a Global Sherpa. I was recognized by the World Economic Forum as a Global Sherpa. So I wear several hats, but this is stuff that I do, you know, different hours of the day. But on a 24/7 basis, I am a mother to an 8-month-old son called Daniel, and I'm a wife to my amazing husband called Tatenda. I'm also a daughter, a sister. So that's stuff that I do all day, which also shows you that I wear different hats. And more now, I find it critical for me to establish schedules and routines on how do I ensure that I'm doing all these things without necessarily neglecting any of it and remaining productive and efficient whilst doing all of this. So that's my background, that's what I do, and this is why I created this webinar. And I'm hoping that by the end of this session, you will have an idea of what you could do differently in your own life, and what you could do to get new results in your life and really become a more efficient Motherland Mogul. So now getting into the content of the webinar, remember to check in the comment section and what you could do to get new results in your life and really become a more. To join Motherland Mogul, you need to, it's an amazing community, like I said. So if you check in the comment section or the description of this event, you will see how you can join the community and get more things done in your life. So now we're going to jump right into the content of this webinar. How do you create schedules that can improve your productivity, right? So firstly, time management 101. If I could pose a question to you guys, like if you could, if you got a few more hours in your day, right? Because a lot of people are like, I don't even know what to do. I feel like I don't have enough hours in a day. And I'm like, but if you had more hours in your day, what would you do? So I'd like you guys to just think about that right now. If you got a few more hours in your day, say if we gave you 3 hours, what would you do with your time, right? Right? So what would you do if you got a few more hours? You have 24, and if we gave you, say, 3 more hours a day, what would you actually do? Or what do you feel like you can't do right now that you would do if you got a few more hours in your day, right? So think about it. Would you read more? Would you spend more time with your family? Would you spend more time in prayer? Let's think about that. I actually want you to think about just one thing that you could do if you had more time, and see if by the end of this session you would have figured out where you may find that time to get that done, right? One of the other things that I always encourage people to do is, where is your time going, right? Like, what are you doing with the 24 hours that you currently have, right? Are you sure? Do you know where all your 24 hours are going? Are you fully utilizing them? What I will do is, after this session, we're going to send, I'm going to share with Hilda and the team at She Leads Africa, and we're going to share a workbook which will allow you to log your hours within a day. And this is very critical for me, because unless you know where your current time is going, it's going to be difficult for you to utilize any new time that you get. So I would like you to do a time log. Where is your time going? What are you currently doing in the 24 hours that you have in a day, right? And once you do that, it's now easier for you, and you will start to, if you're like me, one thing that I found very interesting the first time that I did a time log is that I looked quite efficient on paper, you guys. Like, I really looked like I was doing everything right. Like, I had the time for exercising, you know, like I would wake up and do my devotions, do my prayers, exercise, leave home at a certain time, start work at a certain time. So I just want you to be very careful about this when you do your time log, because when you do it the first time, chances are you're going to do and put down the things that you're supposed to be doing. So for example, you do your time log, you might say that you're in the office by 8. But the question is, are you? Are you actually in the office by 8, right? And when you do your time log, you might find that there is no time when social media appears on your time log or WhatsApp appears on your time log, but in reality, you know that you're spending time on WhatsApp and social media, right? So your time log should be as realistic as possible, right? And from the start, don't even judge yourself. Just do it in a very objective way, just like as truthfully as possible, right? So where is your time going? What are you currently doing? And how can you improve on that, right? Then the next step, once you know where your time is going, and something that addresses some of the questions I've been already getting is, what do you need to do, right? Or what are your current roles and responsibilities? A lot of the people that sent me cousins were talking about how they have different roles in their lives, which is almost like it's natural because, you know, we are human beings who wear different hats in different capacities in our lives. So, sorry, I have a bad cough. So what are your roles and what are your responsibilities? This one is critical because when you never stop to think of these things objectively, it's quite easy for everybody else and all the things that you need to do. Like, for example, when you look at your day during work, during the week, right? If you think of what are you doing during the week, you'll notice that 8 to 5 you're at work because you have to be at work, right? But there are things that suffer when there are things that suffer when you're not paying attention. I'm laughing because Ima Bong says I'm watching at work and I hope this doesn't qualify as wasting time. Well, I think that just means you need to be careful to know that you're actually doing personal development whilst you're at work. And so what are your roles and what are the responsibilities that you currently have in your life? And this one is critical because then you're able to say, okay, so I'm a mother, right? So what do I need to do as a mother? I'm going to spend time with my child. I'm going to have to buy things for my child. So for every role that you play, if you're a mother, put down that you're a mother. If you are a sister, put down the fact that you're a sister. If you're going to work, put it down. If you are a Christian, put it down. If you are involved in any sports, put it down. Put down all your roles and responsibilities. List those things down. Then look at what does that particular role and responsibility entail for you. And when you do this, you might be amazed at just how much you have to actually do, because when we are planning our time, it's easy to just think of the things that we have to do, right? Things that are given time frames. So list all your roles and your responsibilities, and list all the things that you have to do, things that you want to do, or things that you're actually currently doing. Because sometimes you don't put into consideration the things that you're doing. So list down your roles and your responsibilities, then prioritize them, right? So now you have a list. Remember, we've said you've identified things like social media, things like just lounging around, watching series, daydreaming. I mean, that's how we get things done, right? So now start to prioritize all your roles and your responsibilities, right? There is a particular tool that I love for time management, which is called the urgent important matrix, right? So basically what the urgent important matrix is that it's just it's a tool for managing your time, right? And how you do it is get a piece of paper, right? And then Hi guys, am I back? Can you see me? Awesome. So sorry about that, right? And thank you for the feedback. It's good to know that you guys are watching and we could quickly fix that, right? Technology. Right. So I was talking about the important urgent matrix, right? So when you're now prioritizing your roles and your responsibilities, the different things that you're doing in your life, you need to think about what's important and what's urgent, right? So one of the things that easily happens is that we tend to be sidelined by things that are not important, but that are urgent, right? So some of the things that go into that. So for example, we'll start with the important, important and urgent. Important and urgent usually tend to be things that are actually important, but they become urgent because you would have left them for too long, right? So urgent things include things like work assignments, right? Or school assignments. I'm sure you guys remember when we were in school and we always used to work on our assignments just before they were due, right? So important and urgent things are the things that you must do first because they are important, right? So these are the things that you need to do first, like work deadlines and everything that's important. So you do that first, right? So then the second one is important but not urgent, right? So what are the things that are important but not urgent? Things like ensuring that you are fit, right? It's not urgent because if you don't run today, you're not going to drop and die. Things like eating healthy, because if you don't eat healthy today, you're not going to drop and die. But is it important to be healthy? Yes. It's things like taking care of your body or your relationship with your family. Is it important? Yes. Is it urgent? Not visibly so, because you could, wing it a few months or years, but still it's going to catch up with you. So these are the things that are not urgent, but they're important. And I would suggest that on a daily basis, schedule at least one thing, right? Schedule at least one important but not urgent thing and work on it. Right. The third one is not important but urgent. What are the things that are not important but urgent? Things like your WhatsApp notifications, they're gonna pop up there and they're gonna look urgent because it's urgent, it's in your face. Or your colleague who wants to talk to you about the weekend or whatever is happening in your country or in your community, that's going to look urgent, right? Then those things are really try to avoid them as much as possible. You could get to it a little bit later. And my trick for such things is that if you are a paper person or a book person like me, I usually keep a little notebook or a piece of paper that I jot down those things that come to my mind. So for example, I'm trying to write a report, right? And then I think, oh, I need to message mom, right? It's right in my face, and keep a notebook that's going to that you write down those things, so you don't necessarily leave what you're doing, but keep a piece of paper where you write down all the things that pop up in your mind whilst you're working on other things, right? Then the last one are not important and not urgent. That's your social media. That's your lazing around. It's not important, it's not urgent, but you're just going to do it because it feels good. So I hope this will help you just in terms of creating your priorities. Use the important and not urgent matrix. You can also look it up on Google, or you can watch other videos around that. You can also watch other videos around that. There are a lot of videos that talk about that, right? So this is just like, you can look at it in more detail going forward. So, and then once you have done that, you are now sort of empowered to get through this, right? And the other thing that I feel like we don't always do is just a realistic time frame of a realistic understanding of how much time do you have in a day or in a week, because sometimes we tend to have a false sense of how much time you have, like, oh, that assignment is due next week, I have time to do it. But how much time do you actually have to do this thing? So when you are scheduling, when you're creating schedules for your day, be realistic in terms of how much time do you actually have. A day has 24 hours, yes, but do you have all 24 hours to watch series? No, because you need to sleep, because you need to do work, because you need to do all other things. So be realistic in terms of how much time do you actually have, right? So once you have done your scheduling, right? So we've said, one, what are you trying to do? What are you doing with the current time that you have? Create a time log of what you're doing in the 24 hours you have. Two, what are your roles and responsibilities? List all of the things that all of the hats you're wearing in your in your life, right? And write down what each and every one of these entails, and write down how much time it's actually going to take. Then look at how much time you have in a week or in a day that you can dedicate to these things. Then start creating a schedule to say, okay, I need to do this. This is the time that I have. And so this is when I'm going to do this, right? Other things to consider when you're creating schedules is, one, what is your body system? What kind of a person are you? What is your inclination regards productivity and time, right? I just got an interesting question from Jadesola here that I will try to address when I'm now addressing the questions that came in, right? But I was saying, once you need to understand yourself, right? I, for example, am not a morning person. So a good way for me to set myself up for procrastination is to claim that I'm going to do something in the morning. That's a better idea. So understand yourself. Are you a morning person, or you're a night person, or you are a happy-go person? Any time of the day is tea time and you can do things. This understanding will help you to see when to schedule things the most, right? So for example, I schedule the least resistance things for myself in the morning, right? Because my discipline and my willpower in the morning is like this much. That's how much discipline I have, like in the first 15 minutes of my waking up, right? But I'm more productive in the evening. So I'm likely to attend to that much later, right? But in the night, after I had my supper, after I've spent time with my husband and my son, after everybody else is sleeping, I have this amazing surge of energy and productivity. Guys, I'm literally a goal-getter at night, right? So I could do all the difficult things that I want to do in the night, right? So understand your body systems and understand how you work best. Then schedule the things that require the least discipline and willpower when you have the least yeah. Oh my gosh. Sharu, thank you for letting me know that I'm cutting out. What you guys can do is, if you feel like there's a part that I missed out on, please just send a question. Just send a question in the comment section. Okay? So if you missed out on a chunk of something, just send out a question. Right. Send a question in the comment section and I can get back to you afterwards, right? So I was saying now I'm going to go into some of the questions that came in before the webinar, right? Sipoka Ziminyobe says, how do you manage yourself and everything going on around you without getting tired and losing focus? Sipoka, my thing is, you are getting tired is inevitable because we are human beings. So you will get tired. But my thing is, create time, schedule time to rest, schedule time to recuperate, right? Schedule times for you to just rest. A lot of people have rest days, right? So you work 6 days a week and you rest on the 7th. Take this very seriously. Take your rest time very seriously. Disconnect and remove all the other things that may interrupt with your rest, right? So I do get tired and I lose focus. But what's important is to create specific times to rest and to remove distractions as much as possible. I'm going to handle distractions later on in the session, right? So I hope that answers you, because you will get tired, but deliberately schedule time to rest. And Nana Okeke, hello Nana. Nana says, I think I was more organized and focused when I didn't have my 1-year-old who I love more than life. But it's been hard managing my time, achieving set goals and so on. What do I do? Hello Mama, and hi to all the mamas that are present in this chat. So I think as women, we have the pressure to sort of go back to who we were and what we were before we had our babies. But the reality is, these little people are a real part of our lives, and we need to adjust our schedules and our time to incorporate them. One of the things that I'm really learning now is our babies are young only for a certain period of time, just for a few years. And so create schedules, adjust to the fact that you have a baby, right? Mamas, pause. You have a baby. You are now a mommy. Life doesn't go on as usual. You adjust. You need to make adjustments to your schedule. You need to make adjustments to how you work. Then take it from there. So, yes, Mama, just make adjustments around your baby. If you need to incorporate your baby into your schedule, just start to identify when your baby sleeps and when your baby doesn't demand much of your time. Then schedule things to do at that particular time. Also, don't be a super mama. This is some advice that I got from a lot of my sisters when I was expecting, because before I had a baby, I thought I was super mama. But my sisters were like, Taff, you need to slow down, right? And so I did. And I wasn't expecting too much of myself after I had my baby. And also I got help. I'm going to talk about help, getting help and maximizing on help. Once there's a segment that I'm going to talk about productivity tips. So adjust, right? Be easy on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Adjust your expectations. You're now a full-time mom and you have all these things happening in your life. So make adjustments and ensure that you're still getting things done, right? So Tessie says, how to deal with severe procrastination. There's a video, there's a TED Talk that I particularly like that I think you guys might want to check out. Which talks about procrastination. I think if you Google the procrastination monkey, you'll find it, and it's very interesting, and it's actually very helpful for me. Another tool that I found useful in terms of procrastination is a book called The Now Habit. And what The Now Habit says is that you're not just a fool, or you're not just a stupid person who procrastinates things for no reason. The truth is you procrastinate for a reason, and you need to find out this reason. Two reasons that usually exist for procrastination is either, three actually, is one, there is an aspect of what you have to do that you don't know how to do, right? So for example, if you're procrastinating on writing a report, it might be that there's a part of the report, say for example, where you're supposed to analyze data. And if you don't know how to analyze that data, it can just put you off the whole thing, right? So one, there's a possibility that there's a technical demand of a particular task that you're not sure about, so you just put off the whole thing, right? Or two, there might be some sabotage going on in the background, right? Sometimes when you have to do something that you don't want to do, or something that you feel like you mustn't be doing. I'll give an example of, say you are in the office, there is a report that you've been tasked to do, but that you know that somebody else must be doing, and you really don't feel like it's your responsibility to do this thing. A part of you feels like, this is not fair for me to do this report. And in as much as you could know how to do it, because you feel like it's being imposed on you, you might not want to do it. So it also goes to the motivation on why do you have to do this thing, right? And if you feel like you're being forced to do it, you might not do it, right? So that's another thing. So you need to evaluate your motivation and how are you really feeling about this task, right? And you might need to just go to a place where you're like, okay, this is not fair for me to do this thing, but it's expected of me and it will work out well for my job, so I'm going to do it. So to just have a look at what's your motivation and how you're really feeling about this task. And the last reason that we procrastinate is perfectionism, right? I know a lot of people who claim that they're perfectionists, but to be honest, perfectionism is a bit overrated, and it's just an excuse that we use to not do things, right? And it's almost linked to the first one, that you don't do things because you don't think you have what it takes to do it perfectly. My dear, perfection is overrated and it's not actually real. So allow yourself to start by doing a bit, right? You're not going to produce an awesome article the first time that you write it. So what I've learned to do is, when I'm procrastinating on article, I tell myself I'm going to do 4 drafts of the article. So it's easier for me to do the first draft, right? So I do the first draft, I put it away. I come back, I work on the second draft, right? And then the third draft is going to be reviewed by somebody else who's going to give me feedback, right? Which means by the time I'm getting the 4th draft, I've been looking at this document and I've been thinking about it for a long time. And ultimately, I'm going to be able to do it properly and do it right. So allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to do things in stages, right? So allow yourself to do a first draft, a second draft, a third draft, a 4th draft. That way you release yourself from perfectionism and you just allow yourself to start from wherever it is that you are and with the resources that you have. I'm going to answer the last question for now, and then we go back into the content, and I will come back to the questions that you asked. The last question that I'm going to tackle now is from Robert Omondi. Robert says, were you always an ardent planner in your earlier years? If no, what was the tipping point into you making a shift? No, I was not always an ardent planner. I love to just do things on a whim. Like, it's more fun, right? To just do things as and when you feel like it. Yes, feelings. Sometimes we like to do things when we feel like it, but I'm learning that our feelings aren't always the best productivity tool, right? And I started planning when I started wanting to do more and to become more efficient in my life. That is when I realized that I need to plan more deliberately. So it's been a work in progress. And to be honest, I'm still not the best planner around. But when you've created a GoalGetter planner, you take it a notch up. But having tools that help you to plan have been useful in helping me to become more effective and just to actually get things done, right? So those are the questions that I'm going to handle for now. And then when we come back, I'm going to, we're now going back to the content of, we're going back into the content of the webinar and see how we are going to go about it. Just a brief shout out. I had promised the guys on Facebook that I was going to go live. So hello, Facebook crowds. Yeah, we are doing the She Leads Africa webinar on creating creating schedules for productivity. So, hey everybody on Facebook. We're doing the She Leads Africa webinar. I'm so sorry that we are only starting it now, but we've been having a great time with the guys on YouTube. You guys have been amazing, the guys on YouTube. The people who are just joining us on Facebook, welcome guys. We have covered we have covered the basics of Time Management 101. We have covered how to create schedules, and I answered some of the questions. So now we are going into the second half of the webinar, where we are now going to look at creating routines, right? So why creating routines? One of my favorite books is a book called Superhuman by Habit. And in the book Superhuman by Habit, essentially what it says is the people who are most productive in their lives are people who have routines that they stick to religiously, right? Like they religiously stick to their routine. Because when you work on, if you depend on your feeling like doing certain things, or if you depend on when you wake up today, if I wake up tomorrow and I feel like doing something, then I'm going to do it. You're not going to succeed, because we don't always feel like doing it. There are days when you wake up and you really, really don't want to do anything. But should business as usual stop because you're not feeling like doing it today? So the idea of creating routines is just, how do you become disciplined no matter how you feel, right? One of my favorite quotes is that thing that says, no matter how you feel, you get up, you dress up, and you show up, right? So routines are going to help you to say, no matter how you feel, what are the things that you do on a daily basis, right? And for people who are not morning people like myself, it's actually kind of very helpful for you to have a routine, right? So without thinking, when you wake up, you get out of bed, right? For the record, a lot of us have routines that we are not deliberate about, right? When you wake up, your alarm goes off, you reach for your phone, you switch off the alarm, you go onto Facebook, Instagram, start seeing what other people are doing with their lives, right? But that is not productive. So how do you create a routine that benefits you, right? So earlier on, I spoke about how you need to look at all your roles and your responsibilities, all the things that you really want to do in your life, right? And from there, those are the things that should start feeding into your routines, right? So I'll give you guys a very good example of my morning routine, which usually sometimes starts a little bit later in the morning. But I try to ensure that in my morning routine, I address some sort of all the components of my life, right? So I wake up and I go and brush my teeth, right? Because that's a process of getting me to wake up. Then I go and make the bed, which is a defensive tool for me, because as long as the bed is not made, I could easily go back into bed, right? So I make the bed, then do a bit of stretching. So now I'm addressing the physical component of it, right? And then right away, I get into playing affirmations in the morning, because affirmations are going to get me into the right mind space, right? So now, look, I have addressed my surroundings, right, by making the bed. I've done a bit of stretching, so I'm getting my body moving. I'm addressing my physical side. Affirmations are going to address my mental side. I'm going to do a bit of devotions. And so your routine should address all the things that are key and important to you. And so what is in your morning routine? What are the important things in your life? So that is how you create a routine, right? So come up with a very structured, and don't make your routine a long routine, right? For a lot of people who run, like, hi running guys, yeah, I still think you guys are selling us dreams. But like for people who run, I learned that one of the easiest things to do when you start running, when you create a routine for running, is to, like, what are the things around you that are going to remind you or to probe you to do those things, right? So when you create a routine, create reminders. What is going to probe you, right, to do the thing? So if you want to create a routine, number one, decide what are the things that you want to do and why they're important to you, right? Number two, allocate timeframes to it. How much time do you need to do it, right? If you have a routine for, say, 20 minutes, that's realistic for you. You can get started in doing things for like 20 minutes, right? So give it a time frame, create prompts for doing it, set an alarm, right? Set a reminder, or identify other things that are already happening within. So I remember, like, when we were kids, we used to know that when the news starts, it's time to go home. That's a bedtime routine, right? So have prompters that are already happening within your life that are going to activate you to know, okay, it's time for this routine. So when we were kids, when the news started, when that news drum started, we knew it was time to sleep. So create prompters and things that are going to activate you to start doing your routines, right? So when your alarm goes off, don't even think about it. Get into the routine. Get out of bed. Do this, do this, do this. When you get to the office, don't even think about it. Just get started on your report or whatever you need to do. Also, the reason that I would say it's important for you to fall off, because you will fall off sometimes, right? So that's it when it comes to routine. Why create routines? Because it's easier. It eliminates the need for you to do the whole will I not, should I or should I not? And it will help you to just know what's going to go on. One of my mentors, Joe Duncan, from Before 5 a.m. also says routines are important to keep you on the move when life happens, right? So yeah, routines are important to keep you going when life happens, which it will sometimes, right? So when you have a routine, it will be easier for you to just know that this is what I'm doing at this time, and you go on with the show. Also, when you create a routine, let the people who are around you, in your family or in your office, know that this is what you're going to be doing at a time. And when you learn to stick to your routines, people will also start to respect you for it. And people will know to actually stay away from you or stay away from giving you other tasks whilst you're doing those particular things, right? Thank you, Facebook guys. I'm seeing all the questions that you're sending through. I'm going to address some of them when I get time. And also the questions that are coming in from the YouTube guys. I'm seeing your questions. We're going to do another question and answer segment soon. Then now I'm going to share just like some of my basic time management or scheduling and routine tips and tricks, right? So reminders, I've already spoken about reminders, setting time frames, distraction-free zones. So you guys, I had to say this, but like right now, if we were to look at your time log, some of you would say that right now they are working on a report or they're doing something else, but in reality, here you are tuned in and learning how to do scheduling and routines, right? Our phones, I actually think the most critical time management tool or a tip in our time is to switch off your phone, or to put your phone away, or to switch off your data. Please consider switching off your pop-up notifications. I've actually switched off pop-up notifications on, I think, most of my apps. So I only see WhatsApp messages when I go to WhatsApp, right? Because WhatsApp loves to tell you that somebody sent you a message, right? Facebook wants to tell you, Instagram. So at the end of the day, all these things are fighting for your attention, but create distraction-free zones. And I think for our generation, if you are disciplined enough to put your phone away, you have done a lot in terms of just creating distraction-free zones. If we learn to put our phones away, which is difficult, by the way, but learn to put your phone away, or at least switch off pop-up notifications, right? Because that's going to allow you to focus on whatever it is that you're doing. Set reminders. Use your calendar or other apps that can help you to keep track of what it is that you're actually doing, right? So use a calendar. When you commit to something, quickly put it on your calendar, right? On your phone. And there are other tools that can also help you, like in there's a tool called the loop habit, right? What the loop habit does is it allows you to schedule the different things that you want to do, right? So it allows you to schedule that on a daily basis, you're going to read for 30 minutes. And it allows you to put a reminder before and after, right? So it will pop up, did you read for 30 minutes today? Did you drink 2 liters today? I will add a link for all these apps that I'm putting and all these recommendations once I'm finished with the webinar, right? So check out tools that can help to put you on track. A friend of mine was using my handset for a few days, and when she brought it back, she was like, Taffy, why do you have reminders all the time? Like, did you drink water? Did you read your, or did you listen to your affirmation? It's because life is happening. So it's easy to get off track. But if you use those things, they will keep popping up. And when you start, they may seem a bit annoying, but with time, they'll actually ensure that you're being very productive. And you know, I'm big on tribes, right? Like, people who are like-minded, people who are doing what you're trying to do, right? So accountability, accountability, accountability. There's a time in my life when I created I created something for the Facebook guys. I created this thing, right? A few months ago, and it just pretty much lists what I'm supposed to be doing at what time, right? And I put it up, so it's actually here in front of my desk at home. And there is a segment there which says I should be spending quality time with my husband. And sometimes he would actually come to me and say, so according to, you know, your thing, you're supposed to be spending time with me. And then I'll be on my phone or something. So accountability breeds discipline. Tell people what you're supposed to be doing at different times, right? And join a group of people who are doing the same thing. I know that there are a lot of fitness groups, there are a lot of Bible study groups, there are a lot of masterminds. Find people who want to do the same thing as you, and those people will keep you accountable, right? So for example, if you join a group that runs at 6 o'clock every day, or if you join a gym class that starts at 6 o'clock every day, then you're going to have people who are going to be asking you at 6 o'clock, are you going to come? Are you going to run? And that has also been a very good thing for me. Accountability, accountability, accountability. Have people who are asking you, what are you doing? Tell people what you want to do at a certain time and do it. Also, when you say that you're going to do something, then you do it, right? When you don't respect your own routines and schedules, other people don't. They have no obligation to, because people want your time. So if you say, oh, I want to run at 6 every day, and you don't run at 6, the people in your life won't even mind, because they have other things that they want to do. They want to chat to you. They want to tap into your mind. So when you create a routine and a schedule, be the first person who respects it. Be the first person who respects your own schedules and your own routines, right? So that marks the end of my planned content. And now I'm going to quickly go into the questions again, right? And I'm going to do, firstly, I'm going to do the questions that came up on YouTube, right? Questions. Where is that question that I did at Twitter site? Right. Jadesola asked, but what if you're building a social media brand like I am with the Bougie Life? So Jadesola, your social media brand is part of what is important to you. It's not just playing on social media, right? It's a critical part of your work. So prioritize it. Plan a specific time when you're going to do it. That is your work, right? So if you and I were on Instagram at the same time, you're doing your work, right? But if I'm playing on social media, that's different. So just understand that it is a critical part of your work. It's an important and urgent part of your work. So do create time to attend to that, right? Apologies, guys. I'm seeing a lot of feedback there about how we were going on and off. Yes, third world problems. Sharu says, say we follow all the steps and create a great schedule. My main issue is the schedule. I don't follow my own schedule because I'm either too tired or in the wrong mood and then feel worse afterwards. Life happens, right? So the idea is when you're not going to feel in the mood, but creating routines for me is actually one critical thing. And if you feel like you're always tired, then find times when you're not tired, right? To do certain things. Ina, I see your question about how do you find your tribe. I'm going to address that. You know I'm big on tribe. What affirmations do I play? There are a lot of affirmations that are on YouTube. So it's just to know what affirmations you're trying to create, right? YouTube, so on Facebook. So if you lost a lot of this content, you can go to my Facebook and check out the live that we have done, right? So now for the questions that have come in through Facebook. Ina, you asked, how do you find your tribe? The tribe is about, for me, the tribe is about people who share the same values as you, right? People who are trying to do the things that you want to do. And I always say people who are winning at what you want to do. So find the people. These days, social media is like our hangout place, right? So go on social media and find the people who are doing what you want to do. And I always say stalk them. I like stalking people. There are a lot of people who I stalk on Facebook, and some of them are now in my tribe, some of them are now my friends and my mentors. But find people on social media, stalk them. Like I said, one of my mentors is a guy called Joe Duncan. Joe is in Australia, right? But I have set up my Instagram so that whenever you post something, I see it. So start to look out for people who value what you value. Start to look out for people who are winning where you are winning, and find ways to get into their circles. I hope that answers it. And Ina, you're a part of the GoalGetter tribe. You must really harness on the tribe, right? Sylvia talks about the pop-up notifications. Yes, let's do. Please deactivate those pop-up notifications. The way that I look at pop-up notifications is pop-up notifications tells you what other people want from you, right? It's telling you what other people are thinking, because Facebook says what's on your mind, right? So when people post on Facebook, they're telling Facebook what's on their mind. And Facebook thinks you should know what's on somebody else's mind right away. Is that important to you? Mm-mm. Is it urgent? Yes, because Facebook has sent it to you. But learn to remove yourself from social media, because social media tells you what other people want from you, or what other people expect from you, or what other people are thinking about. And though that is important, when you are trying to get things done in your own life, or trying to do things that are important for your journey, you need to be able to switch that off. So yeah, let's turn off pop-up notifications. That's really, it's not as important, guys. It's not as important. Yamangeso, thank you for the feedback. Charlton, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in, Mukoma. Be almost a stalker, my friend, but I appreciate your support. I'm going to address a few more questions before we wrap up this webinar. I think we're just left with 5 more minutes. So I'm going to go back to some of the questions that were sent in before this webinar and address those. Sharon Telani says, I can be free some days, say from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m., but I spent this time on TV series, but I want to reduce on them. So like I said, guys, resting and watching the things that we like to watch are an important part of our lives. You need to rest, but schedule times for it. Schedule time to watch series. Schedule time to be on social media. Schedule time to do the things that you love. And then do it in such a way that create a reward system in your life, right? So there are days when I'm not feeling very productive, but I have something that I have to do that I'm not too eager to do. So what I say to myself is, Taffy, if you write the first draft of this article, then you can watch an episode of your favorite series or whatever it is that I'm obsessed with, right? So create times for this and discipline yourself to say, I'm only going to watch 2 episodes and then I'm going to write an article. I'm only going to watch 2 episodes and then I'm going to read a book, right? That will help you to be disciplined about it. Oluwa Fumilayo, my Nigerian brothers and sisters. Olo is asking, why are you not keeping it? I've tried having a to-do list, but I couldn't follow it. What can I do to ensure I prioritize? I handled prioritizing a little bit earlier, but the other question is, why are you not keeping a to-do list? Because there are different reasons for not keeping a to-do list. One, it could be you're starting things and then you're stopping them midway, which could be an issue of focusing attention, right? Because you can only focus for so long, right? So sometimes ensure that your timing, the amount of time that you're dedicating to do something. For example, if you're going to study, right? I don't think it's realistic to study for 2 hours straight without taking a break. So are you starting then stopping? If you're starting and stopping at some point, take note of how much time are you actually able to do it productively, then stopping. Then make adjustments. Or is it an issue of you not allocating enough time for the different things? Are you overcommitting yourself to things, which might also be an issue that you may need to address, right? Then, so if you're not managing your to-do list, is it because, refer back to the time when I spoke about procrastination, is it because you don't know how to do it, or is it because you feel like you're being forced to do it, or you're not doing it because you feel like you're a perfectionist? Address the core reason of why are you not keeping your to-do list. Azizat says, how do I not get overwhelmed with my responsibilities as a working wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur? I spoke about this earlier. Be realistic with all your roles and your responsibilities, then allocate time frames. And to be honest, guys, you can't do everything. You can't have it all. You can't do it all. In different seasons, there are things that are going to benefit more. There are things that are going to get more time. And so be honest with yourself and just admit that in this season of my life, I'm not going to be able to work as much as I want to. And just be okay with it. Allow yourself to go through the different seasons, right? Ola Jumoke says, how can I set a daily calendar that is feasible? I plan my weeks every Sunday. So every Sunday night, I sit down and say, what am I going to do? What did I do last week? How did that work out? What did I try to do last week? What did I manage to do? So plan your weeks every Sunday in as far as possible, even if it means just saying, what am I doing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day of the week? Sit down and deliberately plan your days and see what you can do and what you can't do. And also reviewing your day will give you a good indicator of what are you actually able to do within 24 hours and what can't you do. And then that will shape how your day goes. So according to my time, our hour is up, right? So shout out to She Leads Africa. Thank you so much, guys. Keep posting questions. I will take time to answer some of the comments, and we will take it from there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have found 1 or 2 or 3 things that are going to be helpful for you, that are going to help you to become more productive, to get things done in your life. And like I always say, you got this. You have everything it takes to learn and become what you need to do. Yeah? So thank you for joining us. Let me have some feedback. This was my first webinar, so there's definitely much more that I can improve. Let me know how I can improve. Shout out to She Leads Africa. For all the entrepreneurs and goal-getters out there, please, please, please check out She Leads Africa. And they have amazing, amazing stuff. And they're always sharing content around that. Thank you, She Leads Africa. Thank you, everybody. Here's to getting things done. You got this.